So it is actually inspired by a couple of questions that I got from people, and those were about relationships. And I got two in a row where a person asked me, "Will I have a relationship this year?" And to be frank, I didn't see anything on like eclipses or something transiting their seventh house that shows like you're gonna find the one this year. But then I realized that the answer is in Jupiter, and in those cases and it was kind of like a reminder to pull back what we know about relationship and astrology. So one of them is Jupiter for people who look for like male spouse, okay, usually male spouse or a spouse that is compatible with the worldview. And this is a teaching that I did not invent. It is a teaching by Ernst Wilhelm, who is doing tropical zodiac and Vedic astrology. And this is basically uh, the understanding that Jupiter anciently was the spouse of the wife. Okay, so it's the guru. And but also, if you ask yourself, okay, what if my Jupiter natally is like in Capricorn, like mine? And it's like it's fallen. It's not. It's in Saturn sign. Okay, the sign farthest from optimistic view and expansion. It's the sign of contraction, reality check, a lot of dedication. Yes, it is what Saturn can bring to Jupiter is dedication. Um, Oh, you don't have a particularly fortunate Jupiter. Well, in this case, it's very important for you to develop your worldview and your life mission and the houses of Sagittarius and Pisces, which Jupiter rules. Okay, so if let's say Sagittarius is like mine, the 10th house, so having your own career is imperative for you to have a successful relationship. Okay, if it's ninth house, so your worldview, or Jupiter in the ninth house, your worldview gets an extra emphasis. Or if you want to study, if you always wanted to study, it's important for you to get to understand what is your subject, what do you want to study, and be on that life path, and then you will find a partner that is better for you, that's more complementary to you. For let's say you're looking for a woman romantic partner, women is Venus ruled, and so you need to look at Venus. Or if you're a man looking for a woman, so Venus is about values, and it's not unlike worldview, but it's very important for you to understand what are your values, to have compatible values with your partner. Okay, so if for the partner it's more important to, let's say, develop Jupiter, for you it's more important to understand what is your values, because also your partner will be attracted to your values. Okay, think about your woman looking for a man. Okay, then you develop your own worldview, but you pay attention when you date them. You pay attention what do they value? Okay, do we have similar values? And so when a man or a woman is looking for a man, or a man is looking for a man, no, a man looking for a woman or a woman looking for a woman, develop their values, understand what their values are. Now, Venus also rules cars, so it can be even driving license related. Okay. It's like, do you have your own driving license and stuff like that? Said the girl that doesn't. So Venus rules cars. So to have your own car and your own driving license, or your means of transportation, Venus also rules possession. So it's, yes, it is ruling wealth. It is not in the sense that you have to be particularly rich. More so that that you develop your sense of bringing things into connection. This is Venus. Okay. And so you need to see where is your Venus, and to develop, and where is Libra and where is Taurus. Developing these houses can put you in a situation where, let's say, if your Venus is not so fortunate, then you can develop these places more. You got to pay attention to what your like what those placements are, and this is more like it's more like my input on this, okay? Because traditionally it's more like the woman need to work on her Jupiter, and for a man, whatever his Venus is, this is, and it's more likely to for Venus to be fortunate than for Jupiter to be fortunate, simply because of dignity and exaltation and stuff like that. So yes, and it's also, if you look at this, if you are, let's say, cisgender man, you already usually know when it comes to the worldview, can you tolerate a person with another worldview? Which worldview, yes, which world? You usually know that, okay? And it's more about the values. Okay, if you're more mercurial, for example, that I do what works, then developing your values or understanding what your values are um, can draw into you somebody who is representative of these values. And this is when you're looking for more than like a fling, then you're looking for someone that you can appreciate. And this is Venus, okay? It is the values that the person brings. It's also the looks and so on and so forth. But, beyond the looks, looks, they don't stay the same. Then it is the values of the person that you're living with. And when you have your own values, then you can immediately identify, is this person compatible with these values? Is this person not? And then out of like 20 beautiful women, you say, okay, this is a person I can have more than a couple of dates with. Same if you're a woman who's looking for a woman or Venusian uh, type of personality. And so I got to think, why is this coming up? Why are people asking about this? Well, it's coming up because Venus is now in Jupiter's sign. So if Jupiter rules our spouse and Venus rules our spouse, then them together and they have a nice reception. So a lot of people are kind of optimistic. Will I find a relationship? However, Venus is also applying right now to square Neptune. And so I got questions from people, when will I have a relationship? Will I have a relationship this year? Where no eclipses, no main transits in the issue. And I'm not saying they cannot date someone, but it's more like they need to develop more the worldview or more the values, um, to increase the chances, but also to prepare themselves for the times where they are going to have a relationship. And Venus hard aspect in Neptune, it tells us that we have a longing to have a relationship, but we might be disappointed in I see this as people asking, will I have a relationship where, no, not now. I'm not saying, maybe there is something that we don't see, but it can be an expression of the Neptunian longing, which benefit is that you are now getting tips, you are now thinking about this, you are now receiving information that can help you. Okay, for example, you might want a relationship very much, but you need to develop like your worldview, and you are just confused about what you believe in, which is okay, but you never connected between the two. And so now it's time to work on these things to prepare you. Or you want a committed partner very much, and you find this beautiful person. But this beautiful person, even though maybe you have attraction and so on, is not at all in alignment with your values. And you never thought about these things relating with each other because you never thought deeply about the topic of having a long term relationship and so on. And so this issue can come about. And Neptune, yes, Neptune yields a little bit of loss, a little bit of disappointment, but I want you to take kind of what you can do about this, because this loss and disappointment is basically mainly showing you that there is a longing that you haven't been satisfying, okay? And that when you address this, then of course you are preparing yourself to the transit of where you will be having relationships. When Venus will sextile, I think in February, she's about to sextile Neptune, then you might get a more realistic chance at the topic of relationships, whether it's at meeting someone or at progressing the issue, whether it's worldview that you're learning about, or assessing your values, or manifesting, or traveling, or developing your career, or developing your wealth, even. Then you're going to be getting a more realistic chance to put things into practice. And right now is more like, oh, well, you have suddenly this longing, but it's a hard Neptunian aspect to Venus, and Venus is in Jupiter sign. Whoa! And ruling Jupiter. So my cat jumped. And ruling Jupiter. So yes, it's a little bit of letdown, it's a little bit of losses, it's a little bit of people asking, will I have a relationship? And they're like, it's nothing coming up this year. But those are advices that I can give you that can promote this issue. And lo and behold, Venus will soon sextile Neptune. So it's not forever. Okay, come to me next month. Then, then I'll probably have a more. If this is still relevant for you, I'll probably have more positive news for you on this topic. And another planet that we want to pay attention to, and this is a planet that is ruling Rahu this eclipse cycle, and this is Mars. And this is also not my teaching at all. It is Ksenia Moore's teaching, and this is the teaching about developing your Mars. And developing your Mars, regardless of your gender. And so let's say you are a woman looking for a man, developing your Mars as, first of all, getting you in contact with your anger, with your asserting boundaries. Okay, this is the things that Mars rules, with your passion and drive. Okay, so if you want to improve upon your Jupiter, you develop your own worldview, the things that Jupiter rules, and then a man is a complement to your life. Okay, Ernst Wilhelm's words, not mine. And I find this to be very true for healthy relationships. So in developing your Mars, first of all, you get comfortable with the expression of anger, and you get comfortable with asserting your boundaries, and so you draw in more happiness already within the relationship. Okay, one thing that happened to me when I was kind of I think I just received Sima Mundi, and it has kind of like all the planets in there. I think it's domicile, and Mars was a part of them, so I began to get comfortable with my Mars. One of the things that happened, and I think it was on a Mars day, that was I saw a bus driver very, very angry. He was very angry, but he was angry for the right reasons, and he was making sure that he will not go with an unsafe vehicle on the road. And people were like, why is he so angry, and why this, why that? And I was like, no, this is so good. This is good that he's making sure that we will be safe. And I could relate to his anger. And then I was thinking about this. I was like, oh, I got comfortable with expressing my anger and identify. So I can identify when a person is being aggressive for no reason, or when a person can be very angry, but angry for the right reasons. Okay, making sure that they're not endangering people. Okay, so this is stuff that's going to happen to you when you begin to express your Mars. You are not resisting to the reality that you want to create, or stuff that people fear when they do reality manifestation. Mars is a part of the archetypes that we have. Mars is ruling Aries and Scorpio, so you have both the I am and the psychological resilience to push through. So also developing the Scorpio and Aries aspects of your chart. Okay, I also want you to know, but to everyone, usually women deal with this, but not only women. There's also strong pressure for men to kind of not be aggressive and so on. And again, there is a difference between being violent towards somebody or just asserting yourself vehemently if needed be. And so for women that, let's say, go out of toxic relationships, or also for men that are afraid to express anger, working with a good Mars is very important, because This allows you to identify the importance of anger, to be angry at the right time, at the right amount, and with the right people, and also to remove conflict from your life, because you assert the boundary and then you remove the conflict from your life. And so you break the cycle of where this Mars comes in ways that are not really in alignment with you, with your values, with what you want to achieve with this Mars, and that Mars is coming like from the outside, okay, or drawing like aggressive man or some or stuff like this, because you are grown or thinking that you cannot express your anger or you cannot say no. Um, and so on and so forth, or drawing women that are overly aggressive as well, because you don't assert your boundaries, and so you draw in the other polarity, okay. And so coming in contact with your Mars can just create a happier relationship, because everybody's clear with setting boundaries, is comfortable with saying no. Okay, when you're comfortable with saying no, then you begin to be also more comfortable to express your desires. And so you're comfortable with saying, or you're comfortable with saying, yes, this is very good for sex life, right? This is also very good for equitable relationship and for happiness in a relationship. So I really thank Ksenia Moore for the importance of Mars and on developing your Mars, regardless of your gender. And now, of course, the last but not least is Sun and Moon. And this is actually something that the astrologer Yair Tribelski, an Israeli astrologer, pay a lot of emphasis to when he looks at kind of like synastries or even natal charts. He is of the age of Pluto Leo and used to even do solar astrology, and so the importance of the sun and moon. It's basically Papa or Mama Sun, Papa or Mama Moon are your caregivers. The sun provides you with the type of confidence that is an inspiration, that is intelligence. A moon is containment. Okay, it's moon. Okay, it's not about the gender. It can be your father that was the lunar and so on. But moon is more about containment, validation for your emotions. Okay, if sun is like validation for your ideas, your confidence, you can do this. Moon is more validation for your emotions, providing you with your emotional safety, whatever you need for your emotional safety. This is the lunar aspect. And so remediating your sun and remediating your moon are very important in having confidence, even to shine in your relations, and also when it comes to your attachment pattern. Okay, and so attachment pattern is also working on this type of polarity. So if you have things in your attachment pattern to tend to, then moon remediation can be very, very useful for that. And kind of to be open to where it comes from, what gives you safety, to provide for yourself the safety, and that can set you in a better mood, to be in a happier place. And of course, there is the fourth house, which is your house of upbringing, and anywhere where your foundations are being addressed. So maybe right now at this transit, you get in this longing, will I find a relationship? And now you listen to me like, I have so many things to resolve in my life. And this is the disillusionment of Neptune. But like I said, Venus will not square Neptune forever. She's squaring Neptune this month, and then she moves on to sextile Neptune. And when Venus sextiles Neptune, this is where you can get to have more progress on these things. So now you're kind of like the disillusion, the verdict, okay? It's more like the verdict. But then as you tend to it, you realize that you begin to see progress and you begin to see happiness in your life, even from the smallest things. So there is the disappointment, the letdown. For some people, it might even be a rejection or dealing with this tremendous longing that surfaces to the world. Um, and you might even be thinking about like your history of relationships or stuff like that, depending on where it aspects for you, especially with Saturn and in Jupiter's sign. Okay, Saturn is kind of thinking back. What is my relationship karma? What is my life path, and so on. So people are thinking about this both in terms of worldview, but also in terms of like romantic partner or children as well is also. And Saturn can also mean fears. So your fears, whether it's fertility or being a parent or being a partner, um, or regarding your worldview or even religion. Unfortunately, we see people having to be afraid to talk about the religion or to be of a certain religion and so on, or a certain worldview. There's also Saturn, not just the other transits there. And so now is the time to tend to these things. Okay. It's also a time where, with the disappointment, you also get you get the how to yes. You get more insights on how to yes. Okay. With the disappointment, you can also get Neptune. When you surrender to Neptune, you get gifts. Neptune brings a lot of gifts, a lot of gifts. So it brings a little bit of a disappointment where it shows you the longing, but it shows you also other ways that you didn't think you could satisfy them. So, for example, one of the things, one of my values or longings in, let's say, wanting a relationship at the time was happiness. I wanted to be happy. And I actually got happiness by a cat that broke into my house and she adopted me. And she brought a lot of happiness to my life. And so I got this value of happiness. It's just that I was looking for this value in all the wrong, it's not all the wrong places, but it's like I was looking for this value there. And then when you surrender that, then you meet that longing, but in a completely, in a way that was completely blind to your eyes. So like, oh, I wanted happiness. Okay, I put this because my mind was thinking, oh, okay, why would you want, let's say, relationship? Oh, you want to be happy. And so you have this, but not with relationship, but with something you didn't expect. Okay, and it's also good because if you do meet a person, now they have to get along with the cat. Now they have to be supportive of your happiness, they have to be healthy for you, or they also have to be healthy for the cat. Okay, if they're not healthy for the cat, then it's not good, right? And now you have standards, and now you're actually more attractive, and you can get along. But if they are very good for the cat and they're not good for you, also not good. You're not forgetting yourself. And so it takes off the load from whatever it is that you are longing to or desiring, because now you're meeting those needs in a way that is independent of, well, let's say, do I have a partner or a career or whatever this Neptune signifies for you. I used to think that without career I cannot be happy, and it's not that I don't like to be successful. I do, but I also like to have a garden. I also like my cats. I also want to travel. I also like to roam around. I also like my freedom, and so that puts less pressure on the career. Okay, to meet all of my needs. Okay, which turns out to also toxic situations and so on. So this is the Neptune. The other side of Neptune is that it will let you down. You will feel loss, but there is also hidden gain, something that was hidden from your eyes, some joy, some health, some well-being that you weren't paying attention to previously. Now, as a result of this loss or of this disappointment, suddenly this thing will come around. Okay, And so if that thing is a person, the disappointment might be is that you look for a savior in this person or in this thing that came into your life, and this is not raison d'etat of partnerships, and usually Neptune will take those away, okay, in time. But again, Venus will sextile Neptune. So thank you for watching. Yes, I in here. Oh.